Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell and I'm back. I'm back with my co-host Mark Davison. He's been holding the fort without me. Marky D, how you doing?
Yeah, good, Matty. Where you been, mate? What's going on? I've been telling people that you've been, chasing kangaroos. What's happening?
Mate, I turned 30. I went on vacation and I come back. I missed our podcasts. We had the big draft, which you and I are keen to talk a bit about today, which is why our title is The Boys Are Back in Town. Marky D, Matty P, we're back with the BTSC family. The Steelers rookies are in minicamp. The team's been back for a few optional workouts as well. Not the OTAs, but they come back allowed to do the workouts. Here we go, as Jackie Swarby says in the live chat off Facebook. Lumberzak says, hey, you BTSC family. But Mark, it's been a big few weeks.
Just getting closer and closer to the NFL start. Also, we'll talk about a little bit about the schedule today. We got our draft is finally done. We got our running back Najee Harris, Fryermuth. I actually read an article today about Fryermuth doesn't want to be called Baby Gronk, and I'm very happy about that, as I believe that any player should never be called baby something and should never emulate Gronk, and Gronk of all people. I can't stand him, so I'm glad he doesn't want to be talked as Baby Gronk. You got Green, you got all those kind of guys.
But mate, Gronk for us is like an unco loser.
It's so, we've been through this, Matty. It's so silly. Like, we call Gronk as like an idiot, and they pronounce Rob Gronkowski, and it just fits it fits the mold really of who that bloke is.
I tell you what, though, I don't know if you listened to my war room this week, but I was thinking, right? And I know we got slinging the slang later in the show that we love to do, but we can't call him Mean Green because we got Mean Joe Green. But I reckon Kendrick Green should be the Green Machine, like the boxer Danny Green down here. I don't know if you're a Danny Green or Anthony Mundine fan, and for all the listeners that are listening live or on the podcast, we're two Australian boxers. There was Anthony Mundine or there was Danny Green, and you're pretty much in one camp or you're in the other. I was firmly in the Danny Green camp. Love the Green Machine. I think Mark's the same. He's giving me the thumbs up. So I reckon 100%. Let's call Kendrick Green the Green Machine on this show. Let's call him the Green Machine because I reckon he's going to be a machine this year on the O-line.
Mundine talked too much smack and then he got hit. That's what happened to him, where Danny Green was a true Aussie guy, just went in there and belted him up. That's how it went. Really.
The funniest was when they were back chatting one time before one of their fights, right? And for listeners too, this set like pay-per-view records down under. Like everyone was watching these fights. And it was one of them. And Anthony Mundine said to Danny Green, oh, you can't beat me. I'm the cockroach. Because he used to nickname himself the cockroach because he was like, you couldn't be defeated. And Danny Green goes, mate, I don't know what a cockroach is, but I know what a cockroach is. And hopefully he learned to spell. And he just smashed him. Anyway, but let's get back on to Pittsburgh Steelers.
And they're easy to step on too, yeah. Look, yeah.
But you and I actually haven't talked since the draft, Mark.
No.
So I wanted to go quick fire through a couple of the picks. And I know everyone's had heaps of draft talk and whatever. But, how are you feeling about it? So let's just go quickly through them. So round one, they draft Najee Harris. Thoughts there a couple of weeks on?
I like the guy. I'm starting to warm up to him. Like it was running back for me or was O-line. He seemed like a humble, a nice bloke to talk to. He seems like he just wants to play football and get it done. You can tell in his media press conference he's not really used to that kind of stuff, but he overall doesn't care. He's just being himself. And as long as we don't use him too much and wear the tires at, I think he'll go all right. I think he's going to be part of this offense and really have a good go.
Yeah, nice. What about Pat Freiermuth?
Same thing. Look at his tape. Like he's a big unit. Now we've got Freiermuth, and he'll be the tight end. We have Ebron there. We have another 4 or 5 receivers that Ben can throw to. It just feels like this offense is going to be yet again pick your poison. I know Jeff was saying in one of his Let's Rides the other day, saying, how come people are jumping off the bandwagon that when last year it was one and done and we're going to win Super Bowl, and now it feels like we're going to go 6 and whatever the rest of the schedule is, 11 or whatever it is. But we won't do that. We got to 12 wins. We're going to have a chance. We're going to have a go. Najee, Freiermuth, Green coming into will have a chance as well. So I wouldn't put it past the Steelers to win a few games and really have a dig in this 2021 season, because that's just the way the draft fell to us. What do you reckon about Muth?
Yeah, I think that the curtain call guys a couple of days ago did really good sort of breakdown on him, and I think it's really interesting. I just think he's going to be a playmaker. I think we got to be really realistic. Like, you can't put a Travis Kelce expectation on him. He's not going to do that. You look at Kyle Pitts too. Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver and a tight end body, right? So Freeman's probably and I agree with where the show was sort of steering with the curtain call guys, Michael Beck and Jeffrey Benedict. If you haven't gone and listened to that, go back and listen. That was a great show. But they sort of talked about it being that Freemuth could be the end up being the best actual tight end out of this class. I think he does what we need best. We need a receiving tight end that can block. We know his blocking will get better with the Steelers. So I don't know. I'm really excited by it. I loved the stats coming out of college on, I think it was 13 touchdowns, no drops in the red zone. I think that's pretty awesome as well. So yeah, I'm excited. But you got to use him, right? Like, we all talk about Heath and like how the fact that Ben didn't even use him as much as he could have, right? Let's make sure we use Freiermuth. But I'm really excited, and Michael Beck made a really good point when he's talking about dynasty fantasy in getting Freiermuth this season, because rookie quarterbacks like to throw to a tight end. Even if you got Mason Rudolph next year and you don't have Ben. Freiermuth in 2022, but particularly I think 2023 and 2024 will absolutely come into his own. And I think that's why it's really cool that we've got Ebron, where we can work Pat in the right ways. He doesn't have to do everything day one.
The thing is, too, he's going to be behind a lot of guys getting the ball, like Juju, Deontay Claypool, and Ebron. So he might be the fourth guy getting the ball, and he looks like an outstanding receiver, tight end, and blocker. So that takes a lot of pressure off I'm going to stuff his name up for the rest of my time. Freiermuth as well. What's his first name? Pat. I'm going to call him Pat. Takes a lot of pressure off Pat.
I told you we should just call him Pat TE. It's like Patty, but it's a TE.
Yeah. But then when you call him Pat, it sounds like you're mates with him. We haven't really met him yet, so
yeah. But we're Aussies. We just give everyone a nickname.
Yeah, that is true. We'll find something. But yeah, look, he's gonna do well. He's behind his second tight end. He should be there. If he goes into the blocking game, sure, things will happen. But Ben's gonna throw the ball to Deontay, Claypool, and Juju, and then you still have Najee. So this offense on paper looks really good. This depends how they're gonna transform that into the real life setting.
But you even look at like Canada, right? You look at Matt Canada, not the country. But like, you've got Chase Claypool at 6'4", you got Eric Ebron at 6'4", Pat Freiermuth at 6'5". You line all them up with Deontay Johnson. They're going to have to absolutely play some sort of dime sort of package to sort of stay on these guys to put all these defensive backs out there. And you just get Deontay Johnson through on like a jet sweep and trick them that way, because you're not going to know if they're going to block, or you just lob it up in the air and good luck to you.
Or even Ray too. Ray will be used more this year. I don't know where the fullback comes in this, or what they use. They use Samuels, they use misdirection, they use Najee. Najee's going to push this offense forward too. And other players, if you don't get inspired about Najee running it, they better not get expired with this running game. If Najee's not inspiring other players, and if he's running the rock really hard, those other guys are competing for a job and reps. So I really want to see it turn around. I know when I took the draft here, but I want to see, Snell, McFarland, those guys turn up too, because this offense can be really dangerous. Like we said last year.
But they're going to have to as well. Like, they're going to have to turn up. Like, Dave Schofield in the last couple of weeks had a really good one on the running backs, one of the Stat Geek shows, so you can go back to that. Yeah, I think you and Jeffrey Benedict were talking about it, not last week, but one of the weeks before, or you might have been talking about it with Tony. But that sort of perspective, if there's 17 games with running backs, we can't expect Najee Harris to do it all. It's not necessarily running back by committee, but we can't expect Najee Harris to do it all. We need Benny Snell to step up on some of those, sort of tougher run plays. We need McFarland out there doing a little bit as well. You can't just throw it onto his shoulders and expect us to come up with 1,200 yards from him plus. That's not the way we're going to fix this rushing offense. So, yeah. But what about the ladder picks? I mean, there's a lot of chat at the moment in the live chat around Presley Harvin III, the punter. He's going to probably punt your mate Jordan Berry off the Steelers. Let's just address it straight into it. What do you think about Presley Harvin the third? Apart from the fact the guy is a nugget of a bloke.
See you, Barry.
Barry's been picked.
He's gone. The only reason I like Barry is because he's Australian. He's been there 5 years. Like I said, I wish I was there for 5 years, running around town, running the muck in Pittsburgh. I would like to see a fresh face with punter. And I saw Presley's Harvin's interview the other day on the Steelers.com. He's a big bloke. Just give that guy a chance. He's got a lot of weight.
Mate, he's bigger than Pat Freemuth. He weighs more than Pat Freemuth.
Yeah, but have you seen his shoulders? They're at here. They're huge. Look, give him a run. I think you still need. If we're getting younger at certain positions, we probably should get younger at the punter as well. They brought him in for a reason. He probably will beat out Barry. Barry, come back home, mate. You had a great run. We appreciate your time. You did really well. But look, let's move on. And I think Harvin would do a good job. And I don't want to see him as the gimmick guy. We just want to see him as a punter. But I think he'll do tremendous things.
Well, I had a question for you. You just said give him a run. Over or under? They do a fake punt play and run him through the line. Over or under one time during the regular season.
I reckon a designed fake punt. I think 0.
That's what I mean.
I don't think they'll use him that way. You can't use him that way. You can't do it. We're not the San Fran 49ers bringing in Hayne to sell jerseys. We want a new punter. We don't want that gimmick at our punter. You can't do it that way. Surely not. Or yeah, I don't know. Unless they have it in their package, and there are certain times when Hayward Bay threw past someone, and there's an open chance. Do it. But you can't do it just to do it.
No, 100%.
So I'm going 0 for that one. But look, he's got legs. Like he's a big.
I'm going 1. He's 260. Mate, he's 260 pounds. I'm going 1. Money where our mouth is, right?
I just want to see him on the football field because he's a big unit. He said he played linebacker or defensive line as well in the college, but he just said he fell into the role of punter, and he can kick the ball pretty far. And if he can do that job really well, and if he's a good holder, I can see him beating out Barry. And the only thing I find that Barry might be there because he has a good good combination with Boswell. So in the holder, so that might be. He might stay for that reason.
And Dan McCullers transferred the photos over when he left.
Yeah. Or they just really like his accent. Like they like the Australian accent, and they just think or maybe they feel sorry for the guy that he can't get home. I'm not too sure.
Mate, they should bring you in. The head of Mark Davison, head of fan engagement, Pittsburgh Steelers.
I can kick. You want me to kick or?
I can kick. You know what? We should do a kickoff when we catch up when we're allowed to. We're back in bloody more COVID restrictions.
All I'd say is if I was the fan engagement, if I was doing coming to the stadium, just how's it going? What's going on? That's all I'd say, and people would be laughing. It'd be great.
But I want to bring up black and gold goggles. Let's get a bit more serious. A bit serious. Yeah. He has a cannon for a leg and will flip the field with us with our defense, and that makes a big difference. 100%. You look at 2019, right? And you look at how we got to 8-8 with Mason Rudolph and Dark Hodges with a good defense. We couldn't punt for anything in the world. Like I almost swore then because it was terrible, absolutely terrible. You bring Presley Harvin in with that leg, for me. Like
if he's got a chance to be the new guy and he's younger at the position, I say if he beats out Barry, which won't be too hard because Barry was a standard punter, then you've got to go with him. And then you might know more than me with like contracts and stuff like that to do with rookies and things of that nature.
He's better for that.
You've got to bring him in, and you've got to give that guy a chance. And that's the thing. When I think it will sell jerseys. It will help the fan base, and just overall, if he's a better player, you've got to create competition, like Tomlin says all the time.
And we got a Facebook chat here from Jeffrey Eduard. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. Steelers defense still trash. Okay, buddy. Righto.
One man's trash, another man's treasure. Did you know that?
Righto, buddy. But getting on some of the other picks, was there another favorite pick for you? We don't have to go through all of them. Or was there another favorite pick that you like?
Yeah, there kind of is. I think you put me onto that guy Roche a little bit. I watched a bit of his tape, and him from the edge looks really like behind Alex Highsmith. He looks like a good player. Even to a certain extent, Buddy Johnson, he might fill in the role for special teams. And then next 2 or 3 years, he might turn into a middle linebacker too. So those two guys, I kind of think, yeah, they've done pretty good. But Roche might contribute to the edge behind Alex Highsmith, maybe quicker than we think, because there's not much depth there. What do you reckon about those picks, or who's your favorite guy?
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and it goes back to this whole. I still think they have to bring someone in though. I can't see him going into the season like with what they've got right now, and I think it's interesting to see who gets cut off different rosters. So we're all sitting there going, who are the veteran free agent steals can bring in? But what about other guys that they liked in the draft that haven't necessarily worked, or undrafted free agents that haven't worked on the teams that signed them? What if there's guys they liked in previous years that get released? Like, there's going to be more people I think they bring in there. But I think you're right, and the bit that I love about it is it means that we don't have to rely on Highsmith and Watt doing 90% of the snaps for both of them 17 games. You know, like we need to be able to rotate some players. We need to be able to bring different players in. You know, I like the idea of Roche being brought into that mix. As you said, it's going to happen pretty early on. I think that Michael Beck and Jeffrey Bennett were saying something like 30 or 40 snaps he's going to need to take a game based on the depth right now. But equally for Highsmith, it means that Highsmith doesn't have to do everything. And I just go back. Obviously, I love the pick. Previewed him in War Room before it happened. I know I got my chance to say something when we had the roundtable discussions after the pick came in. But the thing I love about Roche is that unlike a lot of guys that gets a lot of sacks in college, they do it off speed. He did moves. And when you watch him with these moves that he did, that will translate to the NFL. And that's what I absolutely love about having him as in this Pittsburgh Steelers. And mate, I still reckon he's going to be one of the steals of this draft. You know, he only needs like 2 sacks this year and he'll become one of those, like up there on those defensive rookie ratings really quickly. So
it puts the pressure on Alex Highsmith. And
oh yeah,
is Alex Highsmith going to be the number one guy there, and then it's number 2 Roche, and then like you said, bring in a veteran? Like, I think if I was Alex Highsmith, I would want some help behind me. You can't do it all. TJ can't do it all too. So maybe we are pretty thin on that side. But
it's like what they did when they brought in Loudermilk. I know when we saw that pick, Jeffrey Benedict and Michael Beck and I were sort of sitting on the channel waiting to go live with a few picks. And there are a few different sort of people that when the way they were picked, and the sort of feedback was the Steelers must be going to do more 4-3, right? More 4-3 defense. Now, if you think about Highsmith, you think about the size of Highsmith and Watt, and Highsmith's got to get bigger, a little bit bigger as well. But you think about TJ in that mix, and you think about Quincy Roche, they're going to be able to scheme up some 4-3 rush packages that, oh my gosh. I mean, you think about that line, you know, there with Tuitt, Hayward, Watt, Roche, you can move Highsmith around as well. We know that Highsmith's got a bit of pass coverage. TJ can get it, you know, can grab an interception, you know, at times as well, depending the way they put him out. Like, I'm really interested in the versatility that this brings to the line.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I just got caught looking at the live chat. It was this.
You did a Brian Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I did. I got a little bit lost there. But my mate Aaron Butler is talking about the Ravens. He comes in our show all the time. Aaron, when you come in here, just always make sure you like the show and share. That's what we appreciate. I know you talk about the Ravens being one of the best teams, and you're going to win this, you're going to win that, and purple's the new black and gold. It's not. But just please make sure you like the show. And, yeah, keep talking about the Ravens, but they're going to do nothing this coming season. Nothing. Continue.
I was just doing 2 Ravens, 6 Steelers. All you need to say. All you need to say. Love it. There you go. Rhino Tool says that Super Bowls are the measuring stick for success, and the Pittsburgh Steelers 100%. Have the Super Bowls. So tough luck. Is there anything, anyone that you liked in the draft that I know that you and I had sort of done a bit of chat about? I know you're not a massive draft guy. Was there anything surprising about the draft, or that you loved during the draft as a fan, that you thought they did well, anything you thought they did terribly? I mean, I loved when Run DMC announced the pick. That was awesome. The little rap that he did there, that was awesome. But I don't know, we didn't get to catch up after it. So like, because usually we'd go live on day 3 is usually when we do Touchdown Under.
No, I think just overall the whole thing, but it kind of goes over my head a little bit because I'm not a college guy and there's so many colleges to watch. But just enjoying everything of it. Like the 24th pick we had, and it was who's it going to be, and I went live on my Facebook page, just talking about it, and it was just, yeah, there were guys like Jock there were other guys, O-line guys that were there too, and then they've obviously got the perfect pick at Najee, and they're like, oh, you can't take a running back too soon. However, you can't take a running back at 70 or 100 that's going to be Najee. So, no, I enjoyed the whole experience. I'm just kind of glad that, we can do the draft and now heading into rookie camps, mini camps, training camps, all those things. And I watch a little bit here and there, and maybe to yourself as well, but we're pretty far away, so we don't get like if we turn on the news in the background on TV, or on a normal TV, we have like Steeler coverage, where a lot of guys in Pittsburgh or other NFL cities always have coverage about the NFL. So you and I have got to go and search for it, and we use Behind the Steel Curtain and guys like that anyway, and we have people who write awesome articles. And we miss a lot of news. Like I didn't even know it was a rookie camp today that they had finished. Until I woke up this morning, and I think it was yesterday, they were doing reps in Canada system, and I watched a bit of the rookies do their press conferences and get all their new numbers. So look, it's all part of it, and we can't put like those rookies we signed. It was eight rookies we signed or 9.
Yeah,
like they're not the Super Bowl team, but they're going to be part of it, and that's what I like about it. Like. There's rookies in this draft now that are instant Super Bowl, like they're just part of a Super Bowl team. Depends who's going to win. But we can't put everything on Najee, can't put everything on Fryermuth, can't put everything on Green to be like Pouncey. Just can't do that. We've got to wait until they sit in their role and just see how they develop and play. That's why we watch this team.
Well, and that's it. Like, and I tell you what, the photo I liked out of rookie minicamp. Did you see the size of Dan Moore? Number 65,
No.
Defensive tackle. Mate, that guy is standing next to all the other guys. He's huge. Absolutely huge. Can't wait to see him.
That's the fun part of it too, isn't it? Like when you get to see them out there having a bit of fun and working, and that's look. Imagine being in their shoes if you were as talented and had the hard yakka to go and do it. They're getting drafted to a crazy team. Like this is
that's it.
A massive milestone.
But that's exactly the point, Mark. Like you hit the nail on the head. You think about you're sitting there, right, as a draft pick, right? And now when she gets past the 4th round, the money's really like it doesn't really like we're talking a couple $100,000, which yes is a lot of money to all of us, but like when you come into an NFL player, like you can, if you prove yourself, you'll make that back at the back, toward the middle and back into your career. But you sit there. Would you rather be drafted in the 4th round? Now, I used to be able to say the Cleveland Browns, but you would have to be drafted in the 4th round by the New York Jets or the 6th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the start of the 6th. If you're Quincy Roche, I know who I'd rather go to.
Yeah, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, just because even the living arrangement in the Steelers and Pittsburgh I would probably find a lot better than maybe New York. Even with or without COVID, New York's a crazy place, right? And a lot of pressure. And they haven't won in so many years, the New York Jets, right? So it just depends. And it depends if people have like family certain ways, but it's a big difference too when, if you and I go for a university degree. My college or university was 20 minutes down the road, and I'd go back and forth on my lunch break. However, in America, you guys have colleges, and they might live in LA and travel all the way to Kansas to go to university for some reason. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing for these players to get drafted by certain teams if they're going to Cincinnati, which would be awful, but for them it'd be a great experience. Or they're going to Detroit and the history there. So it's a huge thing, and they're one small part of the team to try and get a Super Bowl, but also they've got a job. Like that's like it'd be amazing. Like if you're a football guy and your whole life playing football, next minute you're a part of the Cowboys or the Steelers, and every day you get to go to work. And look, they got to play hard. They got to play hard, and they got to go to the gym and do crazy things. But it'd be so much fun, wouldn't it? Just to get your number and get the name on your back. Like, it'd be so cool.
This is a question. Do you think that the numbers are going to stay what they are right now? Like I'm very keen on a Freiermuth 88 jersey. Very keen on that.
88 is looks like a strong number, right? And he's a big fella too. So
I like the Quincy Roche number 2. So
what was he? 48?
Yeah. And I think he can bring some. We can bring some love to that number that Bud Dupree had. Like I think he can continue a tradition that's been, that's been put to that number.
Did the Steelers do that on purpose? Give these numbers out to like even 51 went, but I guess how many numbers are really left?
But there's also all the guys that they've signed as like practice squad and all the different agents. Like they've got 90 guys in the squad. So you look at most of those numbers, they're all numbers that were available because people left. Right, like 92 was a Denier, 53 was Pouncey. I think 88 was sitting there because after Vanette left, I don't think anyone had it. And
when's the moment you can change though? Is it before the season?
I think they can change once after the I think there's a week after once the final roster cuts happen, then they're allowed to move their numbers.
Right, so that might change then because there are a lot. There's not 92 was loud.
I don't think Najee will change though. I always say Najee, but Najee will keep his number.
Yeah, and he's 22, and it looks like a speedy number. Yeah,
mate, I like that number on 22 with him. Like if we drafted Trey Sermon, I was like 22. Like I like the 22 number.
Well, what about our last number? I think it was Presley Harvin had number 6. Is that correct?
Yes.
I thought he was going to go higher than that. Didn't know it was going to be in. That was the Ducks number, wasn't it? For the
that
QB?
Was Ducks number. That was Ducks number, big time. But the other thing that I think is really interesting that I want to take before we get into slinging the slang and finish up part 1 of the show, can't believe we're already there, is the fact that I picked up in one of Freemuth's interviews that he said that his locker's next to Big Ben's, and Big Ben's been really vocal with all of the rookies. I really like that because we've heard a lot of history where Ben's, sort of done his own thing, and I don't want to use the word aloof, but sort of ridden his own race, rookies can come in and do whatever. I think that we're getting a very mature Ben Roethlisberger. We talked about that where, there was less calling out of players and more organizing and having wide receivers over to his house. And then he went through the surgery and he brought more people in. I'm really excited to hear that Ben's, playing this mentoring role to different guys and trying to build that chemistry. I mean, if you think about it, if you're Big Ben, right? And, we saw what he did with Vance at times. We saw more what he did with Jesse James. We know what he was able to do with Heath. You got to be sitting there when the Steelers pick Pat Freemuth. They pick Najee Harris that you can throw the ball to like you did Lav Bell. If they then pick Freemuth, you got 2 weapons in the first 2 picks of the draft. But it's another thing, I think, for Ben to actually be really supportive of them in a very vocal and I'm not saying it wasn't before, but in a very present way, like a very obvious, open way.
Well, Matty, maybe he realizes that Freiermuth is going to be a good matchup against the defense because we know that Juju, Deontay, Claypool are all taking some of their best defensive cover guys. Then who do you have left to cover the tight end? Maybe that's why. Maybe that if and even Ebron, if he gets covered by a defensive guy, then who's left? If he's our 4th best option on receiving tight end, then who's their 4th best defensive guy? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, how are you gonna line up? I mean, you think about it, like you got, as I said before, you stick Claypool, Ebron, Freiermuth, you got Juju in there as well. Whack in Najee, Najee. Oh man, I'm gonna always say Najee. Yeah, but Najee. But you rack that in. Who are you gonna cover?
Yeah, exactly. And if Freiermuth is a number 1 round talent or just near there, then that number 1 guy who's playing the 4th spot role is going against a 4th or 5th guy. So, yeah, this whole offense.
Mate, I would love to see Pat Freemuth on a 4th or 5th stringer. Good luck.
Yeah, it's just open now, and if he can really stretch the field too and do some things that tight ends can do, and I don't know, I can't wait for preseason to happen because then you'll know how this team's going to really start to move this ball around too.
Yeah, 100%. But it's been a while since we did Slinging the Slang. You've been holding down the fort, slinging the slang with a bunch of honorary Aussies. Let's bring it back this week. The Steelers are starting to sling the rock as, the boys are back in town, starting with the mini camps. Mark, what do you got for the listeners this week?
I've been thinking all week and all this morning, so I couldn't really think of one. So I just wanted to go something really, really easy because we are starting to run out. Well, I used a lot on each show with Jeff and Tony. I used 5 and some really weird ones. But this week I've just got some with like dead horse and cactus and stuff like that. This week I've just got good as gold, and I've known and you've probably used this. When we say how's everything going, good as gold. But sometimes even when someone asks you how's it going and you say good as gold, and you're probably, up ship creek. So yeah, good as gold's my one this week.
Good as gold. I love it. Absolutely love it. Me this week, I had a really good one when I was on leave, and then I was having vacation, and then I completely forgot about it, to be honest. I just said I went, I don't know. But I thought about, we might have said this one in the early ones, but I thought about, and I'm having it in a glass, which is a bit weird. It's not really a cup, but I was thinking about the word cuppa. You know how we say cuppa if you want to have a cup of tea? And I just thought, it's what I had drank during the draft at all those early hours and to get the voice moving when I was waking up at 3 a.m. or whatever. And I just thought cuppa, and I was like, not many people know that one. So it's like you say to your family, or even someone at work in the afternoon, you might go, hey, you want a cuppa? And you have a cuppa, a cup of tea and a biscuit, or a bicky as we like to call them. I don't know, just nothing more Aussie than that.
Just remember, Matty, we only use 25 letters in the alphabet. We don't use R. It's same with when we're heading into winter. It's we don't say winter, it's winter. It's WINTA, winter. It's not so we don't use R at all.
Classic.
I'll put it in the chat.
Pardon?
It's in the chat for everyone to see. Winter.
There we go. Winter, mate. Classic. Well, look, that wraps up part 1 of this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. Join us at part 2. We're going to talk schedule in a bit of a different way. We're going to introduce a new thing coming into the season that Mark and I have been brainstorming and cooking up over the last couple of days, which we're pretty excited about. It's something that everyone can participate in, whether you listen to us live on the YouTube each week or you listen to us on the audio side. We'll take Q&A as well. But yeah, join us at part 2. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. And we're back on Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Mark Davison. He's just chuckling in the background.
Oh, I'm just laughing at what Black and Gold, or Black and Good as Gold Goggles says here. Do you write the way you talk winter? No, we still write the same way. We're just really strange down here.
I gotta tell you though, it's pretty interesting, right? And I've worked for companies that global. Some of them are 2 American companies with the local operations and that. And one that always is really interesting is the Z's and the S's. And so you might have the word like finalized with a Z, or we'd use an S, right? And or realize the same thing. And it's just funny, the sort of language in that, the way that's used, but then they might change it to talk to you, and then you change it to talk to them. And then when you're putting out official comms, because I work in a media and comms role, you put out something like a press release or whatever, and does it have the Z or does it have the S? And what do you legally have to do if they're listed on the stock exchange? And it just gets really complex, but it's very funny. It's all down to one letter. And the same as word is like behavior. You know how we do the OUR, or color, we do the OUR, and the Americans just do the OR. It's just very funny when you do the little nuances like that.
I've got one for you, Matty. What about, I got caught out a few times when I was over in America, when I'm saying my phone number or saying like an address. Like for us here, our phone starts with 004. And I know a lot of Australians just call it O. So
yeah, I know.
So when I was in a taxi, or when I was in in a car over there or Uber, and I had to give my number or something like that. Where is it? I'm like, well, what's your number? I'm like, oh, it's 0410.
That's so true. It's so true.
What do you mean? What? Oh, and I'm like, oh, sorry, 0410, because we're so lazy we call it O. So
that's so true.
I bet you right now that's one we hadn't talked about, because for some reason we put the letter O for a number. And I try and steer clear from that one a fair bit, but you do get caught out saying "oh."
Mark, Ryan O'Toole has a question for you. He wants to hear you say they fought over a fart.
Ryan O'Toole, I've never said that in my life, but as it is now, 8:56 a.m., let's give it a crack. They fought over a fart. Is that what you wanted? Oh, Ryan.
Classic. So before we kick into the record, we did tease in part one that we were going to talk about a new system that we're going to bring in for the season. A little bit of something fun that we've been cooking up, and Mark and I are going to commit to this one, and we're happy to take any, additions that people want to make to it. But Mark, you had the idea of this, so I want you to sort of jump in here and tell how it's going to work. But basically, Mark and I were sitting there, and as people know, Mark and I are rugby league fans in Australia of the Manly Sea Eagles. That's our team. We both support them. It's kind of like, for me, I live in Ravens territory, and go for the Steelers, and the same thing that I live in the Cronulla Sharks on the other side of Sydney's territory, but I go for Manly. That's where I grew up. Same sort of community, same beach town, same sort of lifestyle. But, I've been a Manly fan all the way through. My dad's a Manly fan. So, Mark, I know your family are crazy Manly fans, and they traveled recently, to watch them play away and all the rest of it. But Mark and I were sitting there in the NRL and the rugby league. They have a system called the Dally M's, which are like their MVP awards. And each week, a certain number of riders, like they do in for the All-Pro teams in American football, is that they vote on different players. They have a 3-2-1 system, and the player with the most points at the end of the year wins the Dally M medal. But Mark and I were thinking, why not have the Dally M's for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, which is more around manliness in terms of how they've played on the field. What have they done that has been different, that puts them as in 3 being the highest? They've done a manly effort on the field. So, and then at the end of the season, we're going to collate all the points and work out who overall we're going to have an honorable mention for who had the most manly player this season, which will be pretty interesting because, as Mark and I were talking about, for instance, if you think about Juju's block on Burfict where he smashed him and stood over him, that would definitely win Dally M award of the season. But Mark, you tell us how it's going to kind of work.
Well, it wasn't my idea. I may have stole it from the NRL. I may not, depending if they're listening, which they probably aren't. So we'll give out 3 points, and Matty surprised me because I thought we're going to do this. I could be wrong, and we're having a debate on air right now. But I thought, Matty, we're going to do 3 points for the best players because I thought we could do 3 points for the best player on the Steelers who we think who done really well, and then 2 points for the next person, and then 1 point for the third person. And everyone in the live chat can do it as well throughout the week for every game. And then we might choose a manly player. Would that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's what you were saying to me on the chat. And each week we're going to come. When we come, we're going to look at the last week's one, and we're going to go, all right, guys, this is who we awarded, and then you guys can all feed back as well, and tell us what you were thinking too. And we're going to do something fun. It's not just going to be positive. We're going to have, you always hear about honorable mentions. We're going to have a dishonorable mention each game as well. Someone that needs to pull their socks up, as we like to say.
The Yeesh Award. Yeesh. Why?
The Jays Award.
Jeez. The Pouncy Award. Why did you do that? That's what we should have. Or the what happened. Many a name. We'll come to a name in September. But we need 3 points for the first best player. 2 points for second best. Third gets 1 point. And we'll see who wins, who's the best overall player, like maybe a mini MVP. Give out the Manly Award, which is going to be that guy who just rocks someone. Maybe Najee runs over someone's face. And then what happened and why did Trey Norwood, is that his name for our safety? Why did he run back a punt the opposite direction and score a touchdown for the Bengals? That's the other award.
Oh, what a classic. What a classic, Mark.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And we're going to try and get the BTSC live chat involved too, and I think it'll be really fun to try and rank these guys. But I think the best one we're trying to find the Manly Award because there's 53 players, and it could be something as one player that you thought might change the whole game, or really have that. Or maybe someone even on the sideline, someone giving a mad high five, or Tomlin does a big chest bump and it knocks over someone. I don't know.
I love that. But look, let's get to I wanted to get your thoughts on the record, and I know you can go back and listen to the preview show and they did it and what have you. But Mark and I, as each week we can't like to bring you our fresh perspectives, our international perspectives, our Aussie perspectives on everything. We kind of got to let everyone have their sort of bit of the cake before we get, our little bit, and we want to make sure we make best use of those crumbs, so to speak. But the Steelers have the toughest schedule in the NFL this season. In the last 4 seasons, the team with the toughest schedule hasn't made the playoffs. So the Steelers are up against it, even with the 17th game. Completely up against it. So, Mark, what are you thinking when it comes to the Steelers record? And I think it's interesting as well because the Ravens in the last, I think it's 8 or 9 games, have the toughest record. They've got to play the Steelers twice. They've got to play the Browns twice. So based on last year's records, the Ravens will have the toughest strength of schedule for their last 9 games. Like we play them twice. But before we go through a few of the games, I thought it'd be interesting to get where you think the Steelers are going to finish. And then I'll give my perspective on where I think the Steelers are going to finish in terms of the record. And then we'll go through the games and see where there's a bit of overlap and where there's not. And we want everyone in the live chat, feed in as well. Tell us what you're thinking as we're giving our thoughts. We're always interested and we always love bringing you guys in. You guys, without you guys, Mark and I, as I always say, can hang out in the pub or have a chat.
I'd still be sleeping. I wouldn't be here. I'd be in bed. But just waking up. It's coming to 9 a.m. It's getting really cold. But yeah, I'm keen.
Cold.
I'm keen to crack into this schedule, and now we've got the extra game too. So, and just a little bit of a note too. I think we have a really tough schedule coming down the stretch. I think the last 4 games is something that needs to be looked at. I have one little theory that with our bye being at week 7, I believe this sounds kind of crazy, but I reckon you have to go super hard and maybe win 6 games, because then at the end of the season you might lose a few games.
Yeah.
So try and win 6 at the start, and then just go as hard as you can. Have the bye, reset, and then you've got 11 games again, and that's like a new season. I know it's easy to say for me here sitting in Australia, but if you can try and win the majority of those first 6, then you're in a good spot.
Yeah, 100%. Just quickly before we go into the record, what do you think of the week 7 bye?
Well, like I just said, maybe it's a right spot. I'm glad it's not week 4. Although on the back end as well, there are teams who are having a bye at week 14. Do you really want to buy that late? You want to play 14 games in a row or 13 games in a row and realize, what do I need to work on? Like, you got to have a bye right in the middle. I think the Browns have the bye at week 14. I'm like, well, what if you were doing things wrong where you needed a certain week to catch up? Then you can't. You're just playing football and getting wins and losses.
But the good thing about a bye that late is if you have a guy that gets injured in like week 3 or 4 with like an 8-week injury, right? So most broken bones, you're going to be back by then, right? So that's the only plus. I would have loved to see in a week 10 or 11 that sweet spot. Even a week 8, I would have been a bit more happier. Week 7, I feel like we got cheated a little bit there, to be honest. Especially after last year.
Last year. Oh, mate, Aaron, get your team in order. That was terrible what you did to us last year in those Ravens. Jeez. They messed us around for 3 or 4 days, and then that was just awful. Awful to see and how we got treated.
And all they got was a $200K fine.
Yeah, and Wayne Harbs, he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. This guy was sick, and then I don't know. I can't go into it, Matty.
All right. Well, let's focus on 2021. That's the season ahead. That's what we're here to talk about. 2021. What's the Steelers' record going to be? Now, Mark and I should quickly share that Mark and I are going to do our prediction now. We're going to do our prediction the week before the preseason, and then we'll also do one halfway through the season, probably bye week, about where we're sort of thinking the Steelers are sitting. So you're going to get three of them, but Mark and I like to put our money where our mouth is. That was our sort of feedback a couple of weeks ago in terms of who was going to be the first round, draft pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We put our money where our mouth is. Mark, what's the Steelers record 2021 as it stands today?
We should just do the prediction every week so we're never wrong. Keep changing it like a Windows update. All right, I think at this point, I think 12-5. I believe they can contend for the AFC North. I don't think the Browns and the Ravens are heroes. The Bungles aren't even a mention. The Steelers aren't getting much attention with their team. They don't think we can do anything. Last year we won 12 games. I think we can win 12 this year.
Jerry Cherry Band, Jeff says 17-0.
100%. You've got to aim for that, but that's super hard. But you kind of need to lose games too. It's in every sport. You've got to lose a few and then go on a run and then try and have a good finish. But 12-5. What's yours, Matty?
I'm 11-6. I'm 11
Yeah,
and 6.
That's still AFC North or division and up there, isn't it?
100%. And I think that's what's interesting. Like we saw, and I said this 3 or 4 weeks before the draft when the odds came out. The Steelers, like I think, Las Vegas, the betting companies had them at like 8.5 was sort of where they were sort of roughly seeing their wins sort of sitting there, or whatever. I'm thinking, no way, this is a double-digit team.
Jump on that. Or I didn't say that, but I'd probably put my house on it. Oh, yeah, easy over 8. Like they're not gonna go. There's no way this team with Big Ben and all the counterparts go below 8. There's no way.
Like honestly, it's also spelt COVID, not COVID. Anyway, let's start off week 1. Who you got? Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills. Open the season up at Buffalo. And this is where we did get a bit of fairness, I think, in that we don't have to go to Buffalo in the cold. What happens there, Pittsburgh Steelers or Buffalo?
I reckon the Steelers win that one 1-0 to start the season. I don't see how we're going to get the betting companies over there already have us at like plus 8.5. I don't think it's like that. I think we have a chance to win that game. It's even for both sides. No one knows who they are at the moment. The Bills won't smash us, and it's like you said, it's 1 p.m. It's sunny. It's not cold. What do you think? I'm 1-0.
I reckon they win this one too. I reckon the Steelers go out there absolutely wanted to prove it after last year with the Browns. The Steelers defense is going to come out absolutely firing, looking to put Allen in a hole quickly. And this is the sort of game, right? When we talk about the divisional games, and obviously you got to win your division, you make the playoffs, even if you got a losing record. We saw that with the Washington football team last year. But the thing is that there's also the other teams in your conference. So if we can get a win up against the Bills, that puts pressure on them. If we're not going to win our division, they got to try and find another game. And that's what I think is really important with a team like Buffalo. Get them out of the way early, get that win, get on that roll. Because we're about to go to week 2 against Las Vegas Raiders, our home opener. You want to go in with that feeling pretty good. Even a tight loss, I reckon you feel pretty good. But I reckon the Steelers come out for this one. Remember, Ben, like let's think about Big Ben as well. In 2019, against the Pats, he played terrible. We got smoked. In 2020, we came out against the Giants. It was better, but it was the first game back throwing. We now, and obviously he was part injured in that Patriots game. There was a lot of wear and tear after 15 seasons or whatever that was, and we saw him tear the tendons in the elbow the next week. You've got Ben coming off a full offseason this year, potentially. Week 1 in Buffalo against a team that beat him end of the year, the team that went deep in the playoffs. Oh, man, I'm pumped for this game. This is going to be a great game. Great game. All right, week 2, Las Vegas Raiders, home opener.
I reckon we smash them, eh? I got a good feeling that it's really early in the season. I don't really trust Derek Carr on my list. I've got Carson Wentz, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. So those guys I don't trust as quarterback. I got a feeling that our defense will show up. Their first home game, all the fans there, something to play for. If we win versus Buffalo, great. If we lose, even better. If we lose against Buffalo, Raiders won't beat us at home. I got a good feeling, maybe 30, 35, 37 to 10, something like that. Actually, no, they won't get a touchdown. 37 to 3.
I'm going to go 42-17.
Excellent.
So I should have said So right now we're both 2-0, right? Cincinnati Bengals week 3. Home.
That's another win for us. I think early in the season, Bengals at home. They really, really got to have to try hard to beat us here.
Jeffrey Benedict says if you have the Steelers winning in field in 16 games, it's going to be sad. Jeffrey, keep listening and we'll give you the record.
Yeah, the Bengals.
I got to stick my guns too. If they win against Buffalo, they win against the Raiders, they're going into that Bengals game in hot form. Might be close, but I reckon they take that one out. Joe Burrow is going to get his as you said last year, he was going to get buried in the dirt. I think you predicted
It's hard.
7.
It's hard.
I think you
Imagine
predicted
being-
7+ sacks last year when he played.
Yeah, I think we got close to it, but it's hard for him to come into that stadium with our defense. It's a tough game. It's a very tough game for the Bengals to try and win there. So it's a lot of pressure on them, and I believe even if their record might be 0-2, who knows?
And
Steelers
then
win now. They can't lose that one.
no. But now you put the Mickey on them. Good work. I'm gonna go put $20 on Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 3, paying $9 or something.
Yeah,
get myself a New Jersey for the win.
You'd be a millionaire. That's what you get $1,000 per dollar.
All right, Green Bay Packers. Now I'm going to go ahead and say I have this penciled in as a loss, a tight loss. I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is back there. And I just think that the Packers are going to have a few tough games to start. I reckon they're not going to play that particularly well, but I reckon they're back by week 4. It's a classic shootout. Might be the last ever shootout between Rodgers and Roethlisberger, but I just feel that Rodgers has this one if he's playing. If not, all bets are off, but I'm just assuming Rodgers is there. Packers take that one. How about you, Mark?
I agree. It's at Green Bay, Lambeau Field. It's a tough place to play. We need to lose sometime, I think, the way Tom needs to do things. If we go 3-1 the first 4 games, I agree with you. We lose that one.
All right, week 5, Denver Broncos. In our pre-show, you pretty much could not have said more that the Steelers were going to smash them in this game. You got a score prediction for that one? Very early out.
Well, I don't know who the QB is going to be. Is it Locke? Is he still there? I do like a bit of the Broncos defense, and I do like their running game a little bit. But I think the Steelers, being at home, should win this game. This might be a surprise if we lose Green Bay and lose again. But I have them winning, and this would be a tougher game than some people think. But it just depends on the quarterback with Drew Lock, and if Big Ben is firing on all cylinders by week 5, is it? Yeah, week 5. Then it's going to be a tough game for Denver. It's a far way for them to travel as well, and depends how they banged up heading to week 5. So I've got to win. Yeah,
nice. I've got them winning too. I think this will be like a 27-22 sort of game. It's not going to be I think it's going to be a thrashing. It's going to be one where the Steelers defense gets a couple of touchdowns, or at least one touchdown to win. But yeah. All right. They go then again at home, Seattle Seahawks. Who you got in this one?
I reckon we just win. I think this is if Russell Wilson's still there, but I don't really trust the overall Seahawks defense. I don't really know their identity anymore. They got a hard division in the NFC West. I believe the Steelers might go into a shootout, and they might play their game, which is Seahawks want to put up points. Big Ben is, got a bit of ego about him. He wants to beat guys like Wilson. So I think they win. They could win like 35-31 or something like that. It'll come to the last minute, but it's going to be a shootout.
So you're saying Seattle Seahawks win?
Nah, man. Nah. Don't do that to me. Steelers win. Let's go. 5-1.
Right. I have them losing that game. So 4-2. Because I'm worried about what you just said. I'm worried that you said that Ben Roethlisberger wants to do a shootout. We want to win this game. We run the football. We throw to our tight ends. We let our defense put Russell under pressure. We don't try and do a shootout with Russell Wilson. You ain't going to win that.
Yeah, they're going to try. Russell put up 3. I want to put up 3, and it'll be back and forth.
But I believe you. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger can resist. But this is the game I feel like we need to lose to win a playoff game instead of throwing the football 90 times a game. So, yes, I completely agree with your analysis. That's why I'm saying they're a loss. All right, then we go to the bye in week 7. That's a by the bye. Pardon the terrible pun there. We'll continue on. Week 8, Cleveland Browns at Cleveland. I know Brian Anthony Davis, I remember he had this as a loss. I think that's going to be a tough game. What do you reckon?
I think we lose the first one. I think it's a good contest. Comes down to the last maybe 5-10 minutes. Big Ben throws a pick or we lose a fumble and they win by 10. So they're up by 3 and then they get a late touchdown and they win. Browns win. Just.
I have the Steelers winning this one. I reckon the Steelers go into this after the Seahawks, after a tight loss, as you said, it'll be like a 3 or 4 point loss there. They get the bye. They get a few guys back because there's no doubt going to be some injuries end of the preseason, early start of the season. I reckon they go in there and they show Cleveland absolutely. They flush the Browns back into town. The boys are back in town. The Pittsburgh Steelers are back in town. smash them. So it probably will be a tight game, but I still reckon they'll physically smash them. Love it. All right, week 9, Chicago Bears. By this stage, Justin Fields has probably taken over as the quarterback, as Jeff rightly pointed out on this week's Let's Ride show. Chicago, an interesting team. Now, that I'd be open to seeing a shootout. With. What do you think, Mark?
You have Justin Fields there, but I believe, and this will add into my next game with my logic, the Steelers are going to have a double header here. If you're going to you're a fan, you're going to see 2 games in a row versus the NFC, Bears and Lions. The first game, the Steelers are going to win 45-0.
45-0.
Donald, I just said 45-0 and wait till the second part. It's even better.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to flog them by as much as what we think they will, but I think that's because I think the defense will just shut them down early. So it will be a chance, hopefully, for guys like Snell and McFarland to close the game out. I'm hoping that this is the sort of game down the stretch. These 2 games, Detroit and Chicago, we can't plan for it, because if you plan for it, you're not taking it seriously. But I'm hoping these are games where Ben doesn't play the fourth quarter. Right, I'm hoping we're 10 points up or whatever. Let Mason deal with it. Or if Haskins has come through in the preseason, I don't personally believe he will. But if you're of that school of thought and it does happen, whatever. I just think that these are games that we want Ben down the stretch. Let's take a quarter of throwing off him, and let's also take some pressure off him through other games by running the football more. I have them winning as well. All right, let's Detroit Lions at home the following week. What are you thinking?
To my logic, Donald, if you're listening, so I have them beating the Steelers versus Lions. I have them beating the Lions 45-0. And those 2 weeks together, what does that number add up to, Matty?
90.
TJ Watt's going to feast. He's going to feast on these guys, on the Bears and Lions. They're gone. Steel is much heavier than a bear. If you drop a steel beam on a bear, it's gone, smashed, 45-0. 45-0 against the Lions, gone. TJ's on the edge, 3 sacks each game, gone. We win 90 points in 2 games, and then we're moving on. Oh, you're sorry. What do you reckon about the Lions? I've just got them winning 90 points in a row.
I think they win. I do think they win this one, and I think the defense. I think Najee runs rampant. And I think the defense come up trumps here. Ben has to throw the football like in the mid 20 times. That's it. That's all they need to do. And I thank you, Donald Nolan. You're absolutely regular of the show. Always a bit of a super fan for us. And there's many regulars in the show, and we're loving Jeffrey Benedict jumping in. He's a regular guest for us. But Donald says, I always love listening to my BTSC blokes. Love the Aussies, mate. We love having a chat with you every Sunday, as we do with all of our regular listeners and those that, jump in as well. Aaron's on a timeout, but, not so much him. Anyway, week 11, Los Angeles Chargers. What are you thinking?
I reckon this game, or they'll on paper, they'll build up to be the Chargers have a really good team with Herbert, and they're going to give the Steelers a run for their money. But I believe the Steelers win this one down in LA. It's in LA, isn't it? Yeah, the Steelers fans come out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in Herbert. It's going to have a hard day yet again against the Steelers defense. And after winning 2 games in a row, 90 plus, we won't do another 45-0, but we will beat them handily, maybe by 10 points. So I have a win here.
I have the Chargers winning this game. I think
really?
The Steelers. Yeah, I know. I just think, and I know the Steelers dominate, LA games and what have you. But I just think the Chargers were going to be really in the thick of it in the race with Kansas City. They're the ones that are going to challenge Kansas in terms of the AFC West. Herbert is a very good talent. And if Ben is still at this point in that frame where he's going to try and throw the football, I think Herbert's got the weapons. And Keenan Allen. Can we actually stop Keenan Allen? He's one of my favorite wide receivers. If we were to lose Juju, I would do anything to get Keenan Allen. I just wonder. I think that the coaching that they've got a good defense, although I think their pass rush is a little bit suspect unless they bring back Ingram. But, you've still got Joey Bosa there. I think Bosa will put the young tackles of the Steelers under pressure. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that this is the game that you want the Steelers to win, but this is that sort of game that I see them dropping.
That's a fair point.
So, yeah, this is a loss for me. All right, week 12 at Cincinnati Bengals. Mark, you're going to destroy them. I'm going to leave the floor right open, not even block here. TJ Watt, go in and smash the quarterback. What's going to happen?
You just said it. They're done. The Bengals are probably by this time somehow eliminated by the playoffs, even though there's about 100 games left. They're done. They're not a good team just yet. They can't keep up with the Steelers. Yes, they got one win last year. They're not a playoff team. They're not in that contention yet. They're not even talked about. The Steelers should go into this game and win. Let's be honest. They have to win this game. If you're versing the Bengals at this time, they're not what they used to be when they used to have some competitive drive. They have zero. Joe Burrow's terrible, and I might be biased. I don't know why I would be biased. You know what's around me, a few black and gold things on me, but still, they're not a good team. Oh, and I do hate the Bengals, so yeah, we win.
I'm going to shock you, Mark.
No,
it's a loss.
You're joking. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm deadly serious.
Okay, how?
That's a loss. What? Okay. I think by this stage, Burrow has kind of got it together for them, as long as he's not injured. This is one of those games that frustrates Steelers fans, right? We've got them coming out of they've won. By this stage, for me, they beat the Browns at home. They beat Chicago, Detroit. They're looking good. All things are firing. They drop LA. Then they have to travel back, and I think they drop the Bengals. I really think they drop the Bengals. But the good news is, wait. And Donald, I know you think I'm letting us down, but you wait for a couple of games time, and then you're going to see a bit of difference. But I think they're going to drop a couple here. I think this is mid-season. You had the bye in week 7. I think they're going to drop a couple of games here.
Yeah, but the uniforms are terrible. That's all.
That's right. That's what's going to happen. The wide receivers are going to be Juju's going to be looking at the bagging out the uniforms, and then he's going to miss the balls from Big Ben. Frymouth's going to be like, Ebron's going to drop every pass. Deontay's going to try and scramble backwards and get lost in the backfield. I just think it's a bogey game. I don't like it.
Weren't the stripes like good in the 70s? Like stripes haven't been in fashion for ages. It's not. We don't do that anymore. Like,
didn't you watch Tiger King?
No, I didn't. I'm not even sure what that's about. I have no idea.
It's about two very weird people. One guy did death threats. The other lady put her husband through a mincer. But anyway,
that sounds we're at my local train station.
All right, let's move on to the next week. Who you got? Frozen. We've got
the Ravens coming
Baltimore Ravens at home. Who you got?
Tough game as always. 20 points to 16, 17. Steelers win. Tough game. One of the hardest games all year.
I think they're surprised when they come out firing. They win by more than 10.
Yeah, fair. Okay, put Lamar under pressure.
Yeah. Lamar doesn't. I think Aaron's still timed out, but Lamar doesn't have a handle on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. We've got a handle on him. Devin Bush, if he's playing, holy cow, good luck. The Steelers pass rush. Let Quincy Roche just say to him, mate, you're a homing missile. All you got to do is take out Lamar. Mate, I love it. I just love it. All right. Minnesota at Minnesota. Now, this is going to be an interesting game for them. I know this is for a lot of Steelers fans. I've seen this dragged up as the bogey game. What do you have happening here?
This is a very tough game as well for I have no idea who these Vikings are. They're so hard to follow. Dalvin Cook's a great running back, but you have Kirk Cousins who looks like he's working for a chef at Burger King or something. I don't know. And nothing against that, right? I haven't even got a job yet. But look, I don't really trust Kirk Cousins because he comes out firing and does some really great things. And then the next game, he plays duck eggs. He's not playing. He doesn't play. I don't understand how, you like that. I don't get him. I don't understand Kirk. We win.
I have them winning 2. I think Kellen Mond's playing by this time. Kirk's been dropped or an injury, or benched, we should say. Yeah, I think someone like a Joe Hayden, a couple of picks, or Minka, a few picks. I just think the Steelers use this game, run it back at them, neutralize Dalvin by using up the clock. Then they've got to chase a lead. They're not going to necessarily want to rely on Dalvin Cook. Kellen Mond will go, I can do it all myself. Pick, game over. So, yeah, I reckon Steelers defense gets a pick 6 in this game. So, yeah, they win that Minnesota Vikings game. All right. Then back at home to the Tennessee Titans. What do you see happening here?
I see a huge wake-up call. I believe the Titans have full control of this game. I think Derrick Henry and Tannehill and that offense and the defense will put points early. We try and play their game. We can't get back. We lose that game by a lot. I see we lose by 20 or so. I don't think it's very competitive. I think it's a wake-up call for us.
I agree. I have that as a game that they'll lose as well. Hot tip. And sorry, Brian Anthony Davis, because I know you're going to cheer him in the stands. I don't think Bud will play this game. He'll be out with an injury or something like that. I just don't see it. It's what I'm feeling in the Nostradamus, looking at the crystal ball. But I agree with you. This is a wake-up call. This is a plus 10-point loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a get it together. But these are the games that Mark and I are never going to sit here and say the Steelers should lose a game. But we're very realistic that the Steelers need to also be realistic, and you need to go into the playoffs battle hardened. And this is the sort of game that I think that they will drop. All right, week 16, at Kansas City, one of the toughest places to play. A team that's retooled up. I mean, it's an old O-line, but it's an incredible O-line that they've put together now. Orlando Brown, Joe Thurney, they got Creed. I think they've got Kyle Long there out of retirement as well. I've got who the other tackle is. But, they've got an interesting sort of squad going there. What do you see happening against Kansas City, Mark?
We can win there in the playoffs, but I believe that we won't show up for this game either. I believe we'll lose. I think that it will be competitive, but however, Mahomes will come out and win the last few minutes. We're 11-4. I think we lose back-to-back.
I have them, and I'm going to feed into this Ostradamus that Donald Nolan's calling.
That's awesome.
I have them winning this game.
Yeah, right. We've had a few disagreements so far.
Yeah, we had a few agreements. We had a few disagreements.
You don't
agree.
Trust Mahomes.
Steelers Pittsburgh said it. We ain't scared of KC. Mahomes is running for his life. I agree.
Yeah, cool.
This is the game that Steelers fans will sit there and go, how did we stuff up the Browns last year? We had the defense that could have taken these guys on, but we didn't have the defense because we had Bush and Dupree out. I think we managed the Dupree element with Quincy Roche and other guys step up and do it. I think he'll have an even better season than what he had last year, hopefully, and touch all wood that he stays healthy. But I think Devin Bush rips Mahomes apart with, Fitzpatrick back there. Terrell Edmonds by this stage is playing for either a new Steelers contract or a contract somewhere else. Oh, I like the Steelers with this one. Cam Hayward, Tuitt running riot. Alualu steps up as well. This is a win. This is a win in my column. All right, then we go home to the Cleveland and we play the Cleveland Browns. What do you have happening here, Mark?
Yeah, I've got here Baker being benched because by this time they realize he's not a very good quarterback as well. Now, I believe the Browns are a hard team this year. Let's give them. It's taken them about 100 years to get there, but they're a hard team this year. They have some really good, solid defenders. They have a good running back, and when Baker plays a good game, they're a great team. So. I believe the Steelers, though, will just win this game.
I have them losing.
Really?
Yeah, I have them losing. I don't think you can go out and beat the Kansas City Chiefs after you have the reality check of the Tennessee Titans. You got to travel back at home. I know it's Monday Night Football, but the Browns will be pumped. But this is the game we look back on if the Steelers go deep into the playoffs or even to the Super Bowl, and we go the Steelers to lose this one to get there. I think they lose this. I think it's tight, but I do think they lose this, and it's a wow game. Like, you're just like, we got so close. What happened?
Did you have the Browns beating us twice in the year, or only once?
No, once, because I thought we'd beat them at home. I think we're going to reverse the trend here. All right, Baltimore Ravens. Now, for me, this is the hardest game on the schedule to predict. It's a game that I think will definitely be flexed potentially. More from the Pittsburgh Steelers side. It's a very hard game to pick. I was going 50-50 on it until I decided that we can take the win there. I think the Steelers do win it. I actually think that the Steelers and the Browns will be the ones vying for the title. I don't think the Ravens will be vying for the AFC North, and that's why I think we're going to go 2-0 against them this year. They're going to have real problems with this squad. They've got a lot of young guys, but this is going to be a long season. It's going to be a different season. They've still got a lot of questions at different positions. I know how they're giving Lamar the white road receiver, and Jeffrey Benedict's talked a lot about how Juju would have been that guy for them. Watkins isn't necessarily that guy. They've had a bit of turnover in the defense as well. I've got the Steelers winning this one and going into the playoffs rip-roaring, ready to go.
See, I've got them losing it, and my logic is if they're losing, it means they've already won the division, and the Browns aren't close to them, so they beat the Browns, win the division. The Ravens are terrible, and then they don't vie for the division as well. And the Ravens end up beating us because we play our backups. So very similar to last year. Even though I don't want them to play our backups, you can't have Big Ben going to Raven territory. You never know what's going to happen with injuries, and they might play Wang hard football and dirty. So you've got to make sure you don't play football in that setting if we do have the division wrapped up. So I've got them losing, but only because they're not playing their starters.
Yeah, nice. So you're on the Steelers Pittsburgh side who thinks Mason will be starting that game. And that's the interesting one. Before we wrap it up, I want to go to Donald Nolan, who's got a great question there, and I want to ask you this, Mark. Better to lose to a tough team or to a poopy team?
Tough team, 100%. I like to see games that if we lose by 3 points and it was a great game and we go, oh, rats, like they got us in the last minute. I don't like to see games where we don't show up. E.g. Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs and E.g. Browns in the playoffs where we're down 28-0 and you can't get back from that. That's too hard. So, yeah, if we get beaten by that's so hard to say. Green Bay, no, we win them all. It's so hard to say, Matty. Oh, that's a fan of me, guys. That's me 17-0. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it depends. Like, you're going to have a few stinkers to continue with the poop sort of line of phrase, but you're going to have a few stinkers during the season. That's reality. Like, we're humans. That's what we love about it. They're not robots. It's unpredictable. I don't know. I'd rather beat a tough team and then play the odd stinker and get it right. But I mean, it's hard. Like, if we lose to Kansas City or Green Bay by 2 or 3 points, you're getting pretty close. That's a couple of plays either way, a couple of penalties either way. But I don't want to lose both games. If that starts to be a trend of you can't rise to the cream of the crop.
Before we end this, I'd rather lose to an NFC team because it doesn't really affect the settings that much. If we lose to the Lions, good on them. They're an NFC team. If we lose to the divisional team, then that's a harder get.
Donald Nolan surprised I said poopy on.
You might be the first person to say that on YouTube. You never know.
What a classic! But look, with that wraps up this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell. You've got Mark Davison as always. Waving his terrible towel. There's 6 Super Bowls there. Ratbirds don't even have a terrible towel. They've got like a baby wipe because they stink of rat poopy. Oh, and Snowman's dropped in the last minute super chat, the Hail Mary super chat. We've got to address this one, Mark. What rookie are we rooting for besides Najee Harris? And you can't say them all and be a super fan. You got to go with it.
I want to see Buddy Johnson light somebody up on special teams. I just want to see him just do a James Harrison hit and just knock a Raven out of the park. I reckon that'd be great.
The player I'm rooting for, because I think the first 3 are going to make an impact. Even Green Machine, Kendrick Green. I'm really hoping Dan Brown. I think when you looked at the things that he's got to fix when he's coming out of college, I think they're things the Steelers can help him fix. He's a nasty player. He's a big player. Go check out the photo from overnight where he was standing next to the guys, number 65. He's lights and, head and shoulders above everyone else. I'm really excited for him. Donald Nolan's brought up Trey Norwood. He's another guy I'm excited about. Shakur Brown I'm excited about. But, I mean, and we talked about Quincy Roche at the start. I bundle him in there as someone that I just assume I know he's going to do well. But, yeah, for me, the guy I'm rooting for to really make it is Brown. And we want him to, like, in my view, we need him to do that because we need Chooks and Banner feeling that pressure so that they're playing well. And they're inspired and they're motivated. So, but look, now that wraps up Steelers Touchdown Under for this week. It's a long show. Sorry, bad. We hope you enjoyed it. stay tuned for the weeks to come. We've got lots of great content coming. We are looking at trying to line up a couple of cool guests, even outside of the BTSC family, but we always appreciate our BTSC family as well. Mark, as always,
Go Steelers.
cheers, guys.